All right, guys. So, sorry, let's try this again. If you guys apologize for being late here. If you're wondering why, it was because I realized that I was streaming to the wrong video. So let's try this again. If you guys, if you get into the chat today when you can hear me, first of all, welcome to the live stream for the Proctored practice test. I apologize that we're running a few minutes late here, given the fact that again realized that I was talking to myself and streaming to a different video that was not this one, and it was not scheduled for today. So that's on me. As you guys get into the chat, can you give me a thumbs up or a hello? If you don't see the chat, I think you have to subscribe to the channel in order to do that. Hopefully you want to subscribe anyway, just to watch some of our other videos, hopefully. But if not, if you don't see the chat, you should see it in the top right or left, the top right or bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you don't see that, try subscribing to the channel and then refreshing the page. You should see it then. But just give me a hello, okay, a hello or a thumbs up, just so you guys have that. And then we'll get started here. Okay. For anybody who hasn't been with us before doing these, we are going to we're going to start by doing a short warm up. So this is again for anybody that is is going to take a practice test with us today. You should have your materials in front of you, right? ACT or SAT materials. If you're taking the PSAT, that's great as well. But you should have those materials with you now. We're going to go through a short warm up. We're going to get you guys started with those practice tests. And then I'm going to stay on for 30, 45 minutes or so to answer any general questions and just to make sure that everybody who is taking a practice test with us today has an opportunity to ask questions if you run into any problems. But once you get started with the test, it should be pretty self-explanatory. Okay? So great guys. Yep. If you, hello, welcome everybody. So again, if you're taking the practice test with us today, just give a thumbs up or a hello. Make sure that you have your materials. If you are taking the SAT or the ACT practice test, can you give 2 thumbs up in the chat to say that you do have your materials? That would be your practice test form, right? Printed, your bubble sheet printed, ready to go. Make sure you have those 2 things. And then again, if you are taking the practice test, let us know. For anybody that's wondering what we're going to do in terms of the schedule, for the first maybe 15 minutes here, I'm going to lead everybody through a warm-up to get everybody started who is taking the practice test with us today. And then after that, if you want to take the SAT or we're doing both, I'll explain instructions for both SAT and ACT here in a second. If you guys do not have a test form, you can click the video description below this video, below this live stream, and in the description, you'll see links to all of the released SAT and ACT exams. So you guys can click those and hopefully print one of those over the next 10, 15 minutes because we are going to go through a short warm-up. Otherwise, you should have all your materials ready to go. And then we'll get started here in just a second. Great, Kayla, thanks, perfect. And once again, if you're not going to take a practice test today and you just have general questions about the SAT or the ACT, just hold on to those questions for a second. We're going to, again, go through this warm-up here and get started probably around at the 50 mark, so about 10 minutes from now. And then I'll be on for another 45 minutes or so to answer any general questions related to the SAT or the ACT. And then we'll get started. So this is for anybody that's taking the practice test today. You guys should have your materials. So before we get started, one of the things that I am adamant about, before you get started with any practice test, and we'll do this again for anybody who's taking the practice test today, I am very, very adamant that we warm up before we start. Think about anything you guys do in your lives, right? If you're in the sporting, if you play sports, if you're in any extracurricular, if you are in the play or the musical, you don't just show up, right? I mean, think about how realistically this test is so much more important than any single sporting game, right? Any sports game, any sports match, or any high school musical or play. Yet for those ones, we show up an hour before because our coaches are there, right? They tell us to go and get there an hour before. And if that's the case, right, we can't put more emphasis on that single sporting event or single musical when this is so much more important, right? So we have to warm up. So every time you guys are about to start a practice test or obviously the real exam, I want you to be doing warm-up problems. And we've made this very easy for you to do. So there's really no excuse not to be doing warm-up problems. On our StarU tutoring app, right? So everybody should download StarU. If you haven't already, do that now. Download StarU in App Store or Google Play or access StarU from a computer. And I want everybody to take this seriously. I know it takes 2 seconds to create a student account, so if you haven't already, okay, you have access to those either through downloading the app. When you get to the real test, right, for today, it's fine if you want to access it from a computer. I just posted that link. It takes 2 seconds to register. It is extremely important that we take this part seriously. I know some students will say that they did a warm-up or whatever, but I want everybody to download this, and then I'll walk you through it. Once you have it downloaded and once you have the welcome screen open, it takes 2 seconds to register if you haven't already, so please do that. You should see a screen that looks like this, a home screen that looks like this. So please do that now, and then give me a thumbs up when you guys have this home screen open, because I'm going to walk you through how you can access these warm-up problems. And the beauty of it is, even if you set up an account on your computer today, it's all free. Everything that I'm leading you through is free today, so there's no excuse not to do it, because then when you get to the real testing environment, rather than sitting there and talking to a friend and getting each other all nervous, right, I'm going to do so badly, I'm so nervous for this, you can be on your phone doing practice problems, warming up, thinking about the test before you actually start. And that is very, very, very critical that we do that, because, again, it's if we don't, we're in trouble, right? We take everything else we take so seriously, okay, with regards to sports or musicals or plays, whatever, and we always warm up for those, yet this test is significantly going to be realistically significantly more important in your lives than any single sporting event, any single musical or play, and we tend not to warm up for this. So I think it's very, very critical. So once you're on this home screen, right, you're going to have your phone, and you'll have access to this on your phone if you download it on your phone or iPad. So when you're on your phone, you're going to click Lessons and Practice Problems on the home screen. If you're taking the ACT, then I recommend you do some ACT English, because that's the first section, right? And just warm up with some practice problems. If you click Pronouns, for example, you have all of the content from our tutorials is right here. This is available for free, so you should be using this to practice anyway. But beyond that, when you're doing these warm-ups, right, you can click right here and just do some practice problems dealing with pronouns, so that your mind is starting to think about the ACT. Or if you're taking the SAT today, same thing, right? You just go back, and in the middle of the screen here, you'll see SAT at the top. Click SAT, and then click SAT Writing and Language or SAT Reading, and just to do some practice problems before you get started. Okay, it's very, very critical that we are all doing this, because I've seen students not do this, right? Not warm up, and then when we see their score reports, right? You take your practice test. I can't tell you how often it is that students miss like 5 of the first 10 problems. Okay? Triumph, just 1 second. If you're taking the test with us, I'm answering any general questions, guys. So hello, everybody that's accessing this, anybody that's commenting. If you have general questions about the SAT or the ACT, just hang tight for about 15 minutes while we get everybody warmed up, and then we'll get started. So again, if you're taking the practice test with us today, there's a few of you that I know are. I want you to log into StarU. Okay, on the home screen, click Lessons and Practice Problems right there. And then I want you to just be doing a few practice problem warm-up questions so that your mind starts to think about this test before you actually get started. Can everybody give me a thumbs up if you're in that mode? If you're taking the test today and you're warming up now, can you guys give me a thumbs up? And we're going to do this for about 5 or 6 minutes, and then we'll get started with the actual exam. Yeah, all of this is free. Okay, all of this is free. So if you download the app, and you register as a student, it's free to register, it's free to download, and then everything that I'm showing you on the screen right now in terms of warm-up problems and practicing is all free. So make sure that you are doing this, right? 95% of the content on the app is free. All of the most important stuff is free. So please make sure that you guys are accessing this and doing your warm-up problems before you get started. Okay? Again, anybody that's on there right now, we're going to spend about 5 minutes doing this, so another 5 minutes or so, and then we'll get everybody started with the actual practice test. Okay, so take 5 minutes or so, and then we'll get everybody started here. Five minutes, guys. Again, we're warming up. You guys should be warming up now. Take 5 minutes or so. Yeah, guys, if anybody's just joining us, We're accessing StarU, so I posted the instructions just above. You can see that in the chat. Okay, so anybody who's just joining us, I want you to download StarU in the App Store or Google Play, or you can access it from that link I just posted. It's just above in the chat. Okay, I want you guys to click StarU. I want you to create a free student account, and I just want us to be doing some practice problems for the next 5 minutes or so, just warming up, thinking about the test before we get started. Okay, does that make sense? Just doing a few practice problems. And then once we get started here in the next 5 minutes or so, once I get everybody started with the actual practice test, I'm going to stay on for another 45 minutes or so to answer any general questions that you guys have related to the SAT or the ACT. Okay, so just if you have those general questions, just hang on for a second, and then we'll get started. Guys, for those that are taking the test and are warming up now, if you finish a section, like let's say if you're taking the ACT today and you do the 5 pronouns practice problems, right? You click pronouns, and then if you finish those, don't stop, right? Then just go to a new lesson for a second, right? Do punctuation and keep warming up. Keep thinking about these different practice problems. Keep these in your mind so that when you get to the real exam day, or even today when you're taking the practice test, when you see the first question on the test, it's not the first question that you've seen that day, right? You've been doing these practice problems, and I promise this will help immensely as you start the exam. Yeah, guys, all of the material in the app is SAT material. It's written by all of this tutorial for SAT stuff. All of it is written by our current team of teachers and tutors, and it's all based on all of the recent SAT practice tests that we've seen, or recent SAT released exams. So you guys can be using this to practice as well. Absolutely, great question. This is all very sufficient, and we rewrite and edit it after each new test. So it goes right hand in hand with all of our videos on the channel as well. So we highly recommend you doing it. Again, we're spending another 3 minutes or so. If you finish, make sure that you're continuing and just doing a different section, right? SAT writing and language. Click pronouns. If you do pronouns, then do punctuation. Do as much as you can, and then we'll get started. Another 2-3 minutes for those that are taking the test. And then we will another minute or two, guys, and then again, like I said, we're going to get started with the practice test. Okay, guys, so let's get started. Guys, if you're interested in if you have any questions, if you can search Star Tutors on Instagram or Facebook, and you can certainly ask questions there. Or if you're watching a video, you can always comment below these videos, and one of our teachers or tutors will always respond. So if you have any questions, you can either search Star Tutors on Facebook or Instagram if you have those questions, and you can message us there. One of our teachers or tutors will respond, or you can just comment below these videos. Okay, for anybody taking the test today, can everybody give me 2 thumbs up if you guys are ready to go? And then I'm going to give instructions on how we're going to take this today for the proctoring. But if you're actually taking the test, you have your materials printed, you've done the warm-up, okay, hopefully that's helped. Hopefully your mind is ready to take this exam now. You're thinking about test taking rather than just kind of going into it cold. If you're in that position, give me 2 thumbs up, and then I'll explain the next steps for how we're going to proctor this. Okay? So if you are taking the ACT exam, if you are taking the ACT practice test today, okay, you have an ACT in front of you, you have your materials printed, all that good stuff. If you're taking the ACT practice test today, I am going to post our proctoring video. The proctoring video will have instructions on the screen. It will have timers on the screen. It will lead you through the entire test, just like you'll see it on test day. Once I post this video, please mute this live stream, but don't exit out of this live stream. Because if you exit out of the live stream, then you can't ask questions. Like I said, I'm going to stay on for another 45 minutes or so in case you have any trouble with the video or have any trouble with the proctoring. Once you get started, it should be pretty self-explanatory. But once I post this video, you're going to mute this live stream. This is for all ACT test takers. And you're going to click the video link that I'm about to post in the chat. If you don't see the video link, let us know, but it should come through in just a second. You're going to mute this live stream, put it up in the corner, put me somewhere right where if you do have a question, you can easily access that without having to scramble to go come find this live stream again. Okay, so everybody's going to do that. And then if you do have any questions, like I said, I'm going to be on for another 45 minutes or so for those that are taking the test today. And you can ask those questions. Once you start the video, it's very self-explanatory. The key to the video and the key to proctoring this exam is once you start this video, once you start it, once the timer gets going for the first section of the test, both ACT and SAT, you don't want to pause the video for any reason unless the video tells you it's okay. And the reason I say that is because we see students all the time who are in a position where where their practice test is much higher than their real test, and a lot of times what we don't know about is if a student pauses, right? If you pause the video in the middle of a section because you have to go to the bathroom or your brother or sister is distracting you and your mom and brother are yelling at each other, whatever, right? We all know that situation. If you do that, that's not what the real environment. You can't just pause it in the real testing environment. So you have to try to simulate this. There will be distractions, right? Inevitably, there's distractions for all students on these tests. So you have to overcome that. So again, once you start the video, unless prompted, there will be breaks. So don't feel like you're just going to be going for another 3.5 hours and never getting to stop. There will be breaks, but the video will tell you when those breaks are happening. The timers for each section will be on the screen. Explanations for each section will be on the screen. So just follow the video as closely as you possibly can, and don't pause it unless you're prompted to do so. Okay, because it's very critical to simulate this environment as closely as possible. So again, for ACT test takers, here's the ACT proctoring video for standard timing. You're going to mute this video. You're going to click on the link I'm about to post in the chat, and then you're going to get started, and the video will lead you through everything, okay? So here's the ACT proctoring video. This is if you have standard timing for the ACT exam. If you have accommodations, if you've already been approved for accommodations, then only if you've already been approved. Here's the extended timing video for the ACT exam. Okay, and that should be it, guys. Once you get started with that, once you've clicked on that, you should be good to go. If you are taking the ACT today, good luck. You guys are going to do great. I know you will. If you're taking the ACT today, let us know if you have any questions. Like I said, I'm going to stay on. Otherwise, you can mute this video now and click on one of those 2 ACT videos. Okay, and then start the timers, and everything will appear on screen. It'll be very easy to follow along. But I'm going to be on just in case. If you're taking the SAT today, the same instructions that I just said for the ACT test takers apply. SAT. If you're taking the SAT today, the standard timing video for the SAT proctoring is right here. Okay, so again, for SAT test takers, if you're taking the SAT with us today, click the video link. All of the timers will appear on the screen. Then mute this live stream, but don't exit out of it, because if you do have questions, I want you to be able to easily access this. So just put it somewhere else. Here's the SAT standard timing proctoring video, so you can start that. Click that link, and if you have any questions, I'll be here to help. If you have accommodations timing, if you have accommodations on the SAT exam, here's the extended accommodations timing video. And once again, you can click that link. You're going to mute this live stream, and then you can get started. And then if you ever need to come back, of course, you can ask questions here. All right, guys. So good luck to everybody taking the practice test with us today. If you have any questions for me or for anybody, let us know. Otherwise, for the next 45 minutes or so, I'm going to stay on in case anybody does have questions that is taking the practice test today. If you are on and you're not taking the practice test, but you have general questions about the SAT or the ACT, you guys can start those. You can start asking those questions now. And for the next 45 minutes or so, I'll do my best to answer those questions. Okay, guys? But again, for anybody taking the test today, good luck. You guys are going to do great. And make sure you just stay focused all the way through the exam. Okay? Good luck, guys. Okay, guys, so with that, it looks like everybody that started the test is good to go. So with that, I'm going to sign off for today's live stream. But if you ever have any questions for us that weren't answered today or that come up later, and you didn't think about them today, you can always comment below these videos, and one of our teachers or tutors will respond just like I was responding in the chat today. So I hope that everybody has a great rest of your day. We will be on. We'll be on Triumph Gaming. If anyone, so extracurriculars are going to be important, but it's not the only thing in the college application. So you want to make sure that you have a good GPA, you have good test scores. So there's a number of different factors. I posted, I think, a comment a little bit earlier about what those factors are there for admission standards. So take a look at that. But again, guys, I'm going to sign off. If anybody has any questions for us, let me know. By posting a comment below these videos, and one of our teachers or tutors will respond to those questions if you just didn't think about them today yet. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. I hope you have a great week next week as we go into these summer months. Keep working hard, and of course, let us know if you have any questions or concerns. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend, and we will see you guys next week for our next live stream.